do our best here. The first question today comes from Nicole Seekins, who says, question one, my 17-year-old son is into theology. Do you have any theology books you'd recommend for teens/college students that aren't weighty reads, but offer good biblical answers to Christian questions, something that will interest a teenager without getting lost into a huge textbook? Thank you for all you do. So here's my answer for 3 apologetics books, and this is what helps. See, making book recommendations is really hard for a number of reasons, why I normally don't make very many recommendations. You don't agree with everything in the book, and people, they just inevitably think I do. Okay, just because I'm recommending a book doesn't mean everything I think is right. If I have that requirement to have to agree with everything in the book, the only book I can recommend is the Bible, right? But if you're going to go outside that, you're going to have secondary type books, and that's a problem. Also, people are in different life situations. So this really helps, Nicole. You've given me a very specific thing. A 17-year-old who is, maybe intimidated by a real weighty read. I'm not going to recommend William Lane Craig's On Guard. I think that's a little bit too weighty for him from your description. So what I will recommend is a couple other books. I have 3 in mind. I'll give you 4 actually, but there's 3 in mind. One of them is the book right there, Cold Case Christianity, although I grabbed the wrong picture of it. I have it on Kindle, but this is the participant's guide, but the book is called Cold Case Christianity. And what's nice about this book, and I'm not making anything off of these things, just go find it on Amazon or whatever, so these are genuine recommendations. The nice thing about this book is that it's J. Warner Wallace was a detective who did a cold case detective who did basically a cold case investigation of Christianity to try to piece together the clues. And he ended up becoming a Christian ultimately because of this investigation. And he wrote a book walking through those things. The reason why this book's great for someone who you're describing, your 17-year-old son, each chapter opens with a detective story, and then that very interesting detective story ties in with the apologetic stuff that you're learning in that chapter. So I think this is the kind of thing that glues people who are interested in like crime shows and detective things and CSI, that kind of stuff. So there's an example of one book that you could do. Another one is Tactics by Greg Koukl. This book does not give you the reasons for Christianity so much as the tactics on how to have conversations about Christianity with friends, neighbors, coworkers, all this kind of stuff, schoolmates. So this will change the way you have conversations in some very healthy ways. And so Tactics is really good for that. It's just newly updated, recently redone, and changed. And then if you want one more weighty option, I'm going to say the book Evidence That Demands a Verdict, which just recently a new version of this came out. And this is Josh McDowell originally did it, and then his son Sean McDowell partnered with him to like revamp the book, tweak things, correct things whenever possible, and change things around. This is weighty. This is like for those who want to go deep on very specific issues. And so what you can do is get a sample of this, from online, get like a few pages and look through the table of contents to see if it's the kind of thing you think you or your son or someone else would be interested in. So there's 3 books I'd recommend for like the wannabe, I want to get into apologetics, but I don't want it to be too heavy for me. There's plenty of other books out there. The Case for Christ by Lee Strobel's the first one I read that really, really impacted my life. I literally read it because I had no money, and someone there was a book table that was giving away books for free. And I picked up The Case for Christ because I was struggling with apologetic stuff at the time. And that made a big difference in my life. So there's another option that you might consider. A lot of people recommend that book.